Hi, I'm Maverick, and this is Crash Course U.S. Government. Today we'll be talking about purposes of government, types of government, systems of government, and how did government come to be. These include the theories that you're about to see.
The purposes of government include making economic decisions, maintaining social order, providing public services, and providing national security. Making economic decisions means the government provides its citizens with economic opportunities or resources. Even so, no government is able to provide their citizens with everything they need or want. This leads to the issue of scarcity. Scarcity is often the source of conflict in a nation, so it is only natural for the government to make decisions to avoid these conflicts. Governments do not limit themselves to only domestic necessities. They may even interfere with the economic affairs of other nations. For example, if another country is in distress, a nation may provide economic aid to that country. Trading with foreign nations is also an example of government making economic decisions. Governments create laws that determine how much control they have over their economy. In America, for example, there is a free market economy, so the government has little to no power in making economic decisions. According to the social contract theory, the government is needed to maintain social order because people have not yet learned how to live without conflict. Conflict arises from many sources in a group. Whether it's a disagreement between members of that group, it is the government's role to provide ways of resolving that conflict. This is done by making and enforcing laws. Courts also help resolve these issues within a group of people. One of the most important things a government can do is provide essential services to their citizens to promote their general welfare. These services include building sewers, highways, water pipelines, and so on. Making it and enforcing laws that promote health and safety is another way government provide public services. For example, government inspectors check food produce to prevent spoiled food from being sold. And of course, national security is the government's job of protecting its people from the threat of attacks, whether it's from other nations or from within its own. National security is provided by its government through the use of military, police officers, and other such sources. Treaties are how government is able to provide national security not only with their own nation, but with other nations.
What types of governments can include authoritarian and democratic? Characteristics of authoritarian governments include governments have unlimited power, power is located in a small group of people, and rights of the people are not always guaranteed. Authoritarian governments can be divided into three separate smaller types of governments, such as dictatorships, monarchies, and oligarchies. In a dictatorship, one person holds all the power. Countries that practice or have dictatorship governments include countries such as Cuba and North Korea. Monarchies are governments in which one person still holds all the power, but that power is passed down from generation to generation. And countries that take part in this type of government are countries such as Jordan and Saudi Arabia. The last government is oligarchies, which a small group of well-educated and wealthy people hold all the power in the country. Countries like China and Iran are oligarchies. On the flip side, the democratic governments. Characteristics of democratic governments include its power being limited to the people, which means the power would be located within the people. Also, people's rights are guaranteed, usually in a written constitution. Two types of democracies: direct and representative. Direct democracies is when each citizen has an equal part in the government, while in a representative democracy, people rule indirectly through representatives. Examples of direct democracy include ancient Greece and small towns in New England. Representative democracy is divided into two parts: presidential and representative. Presidential democracy has it that there are three branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. And each of the branches work together to make sure one branch doesn't become too powerful, so power is separated among all three of the branches. In a parliamentary democracy, people elect a legislator, which chooses the prime minister from the majority party. Examples of countries that use presidential democracy include the United States, while countries that use the parliamentary democracy include Great Britain.
The three systems of government are unitary governments, federal governments, and confederate governments. Unitary governments provide for a strong central government. This central government sets uniform policies that direct the entire nation. A weakness of the unitary system is that they disregard local differences. If there is a local issue, it is harder to deal with the issue, whatever it may be, at the bigger national level than it is at the local level. Because the government is highly centralized, the local governments are very weak. Examples of countries that use a unitary system of government include China, Japan, France, and the United Nations. Federal governments give local governments a bit more power, which results in a more intermediately centralized government. This can sometimes give up national uniformity on issues, but proves to be effective for countries such as the United States, Australia, Germany, and Canada. With this system of government, local issues get solved much faster than national policy does. The last system of government is the Confederate system. The Confederate system gives local or regional governments almost complete control. The Confederate system has been seen in the past when the Confederate States of America was formed, and it is even seen today in modern-day Belgium. The reason for the rare use of the system is because of the drawbacks. Yes, a Confederate system does allow for local bodies to make their own fast decisions in local circumstances, but this makes it so that the national government is very weak, and there are not very many, if any, significant uniform national policies. In many circumstances, this leads to conflicts between allied states, which is not good.
There are theories as to how the government of society became institutionalized. One of the theories is the social contract theory. This is a theory proposed by John Locke. It basically concludes that the government institution society was formed through some reputable and dignified citizens giving up some powers and responsibilities in exchange for protection, and the government performing its duties. This theory provides that humans became smart enough and finally established civilization and lived in order, and not live in scattered tribes that are rival, and when they have unnecessary conflict, no one is held accountable. Another theory that contradicts this is the evolutional theory. This theory provides that the role and responsibility of the governmental institution was born out of the human family setup, that the government hierarchy is in the human DNA. Moving on from this theory takes us to the divine right theory. This divine right theory proposed that a divine being or a higher entity had endowed an individual or a bloodline with the divine right to rule over a society. A great example would be the United Kingdom, where the royal family are regarded as the holy rulers to the kingdom, and if it ever expanded into an empire. The last of the widely accepted theories is the force theory. The force theory proposes that the acquisition of power in society was assumed by force's stronghold by an individual or a group of people or a family bloodline. A very common example of this would be the ruling family of the North Korean state. The ruling family of the North Korean state basically started by force and has expanded into the third generation.
In conclusion, the systems and types of government lead to where we are today. All around the world, systems and types of governments can be found, and they help run our society. Thanks for watching our crash course on systems and types of governments.